Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Final Whistle with myself, Upila Peterot. What a great sporting weekend we've had. Congratulations to Banyana on making it through to the semi-finals of the AFCON 2018. Congratulations to Australia women's cricket team for winning the T20 World Cup. Lewis Hamilton closed off the 2018 season by winning in Abu Dhabi. I mean, the international rugby season drew to an end this past weekend, and we'll be looking at that. Welcome to Beyond the Final Whistle. Gentlemen, we're going to go straight into football, rugby. Great season for Springbok newcomers. Congratulations to Aphiwe Jantjie winning the Breakthrough Player of the Year. Well done to him. He's had a fantastic year. We've spoken to him many a times on the show, but we want to look at how the Springboks have performed this year. We've played 14 games and we've won 7. Anyone can jump in here. How do you guys feel about Rassie's tenure in 2018?
Well, I think the word that comes to mind for me is consistency. I think it's probably something we did miss. Another word that could come into mind is building, which is a positive. I think what you need to look at, I mean, against the nations that we kind of comparing ourselves now, from the All Blacks to Ireland, England, and even Wales, is that from a maturity perspective, they've actually much further than we are as a BOK team. And I think going into the World Cup, we won't be as ready as them, because remember, with the change from Alistair to Rassie, one can argue that we haven't really had a full 4-year tenure with one coach. We had 2 years, and then a slight rebuild with the new one going in. So, I mean, that would be the thing. But, I mean, going in objectively, you say he's played 7, he's lost 7, so it's 50%. It's a pass at varsity. So he gets through to the next level, meaning that, okay, he can get a go again. He will call it look back at a lot of games where we should have won, but we didn't win. But then at the end of the day, just like we say a win is a win, a loss is a loss. So you can't take your losses and say, well, I'll forgive you for that because you should have won them. You still do lose them. And as a team, you need to win games that you're supposed to be winning. So on that, I mean, that's where I need to come in out and say, okay, well, he hasn't delivered on that. So I'm saying he's past 50%, but he's not through yet. I think one I'm interested in understanding is what his win ratio was for the year. But also another key one I'd like to understand is what his transformation target was for the year, and whether he's actually achieved that.
Fair points you raised there. Sisa, what's your take for 2018?
So looking at it from an objective view, like Kunko said, it lacked a lot of consistency. Week in, week out, we didn't know really what kind of performance to expect. A lot of looseness about the Springboks this year. A lot of great things, but just a lot of looseness for such a top class or what would want to be a top class international rugby team. Subjectively, I love the fact that there's new blood in the green and gold jersey. Like you said, Aphiwe had a fantastic year. Usbungosi had a fantastic year. Just been unfortunate with injuries. We saw Bongi Mbanambi come to the fore many a time this season. Very, very proud of him as well. Know how hard he's worked. Finally got to see Usia as well play a full season of rugby. Without him being on the bench so often. So a bit of this and that, but all in all, for me, positive. But there's a lot of work to do for them.
Definitely. Okay, now looking at. All right, we've looked at the positives and so-called negatives, but now look at dissecting his rugby structures or his game plan. Were you guys happy overall with what you saw on the field?
Well, it's funny, Pilar, because I mean, we saw a BOK team in the Rugby Championship that started to look like a team that's hitting its straps. What's interesting for me, funny enough, is that I think will pull the numbers for me, but I think this year he scored more tries against New Zealand than any other teams he's played against, because I think his try average against New Zealand is about 3 or 4, but in other places he's battled. So going back to what I'm saying is that you started seeing a structure and a shape in the way they're playing the Rugby Championship, especially to the end of it, post the Wellington game, coming back to our home leg with Australia and New Zealand. I mean, we spoke about on the show that we're starting to see that there's a shape. So we're hitting it up and then the backs are running and there's consistency. But the thing that's happening is we're scoring tries.
Yeah.
We came to this end of year tour. Geez, we really battled to actually get over the whitewash. But other than battling to get over Wi-Fi, it just looked from a creative perspective.
Yeah.
We just didn't seem to actually have any creative, call it spark within the team to really get over the line. And that was a disappointing bit for me on that particular.
There's a comment by Nick after the game where he said that we lacked a bit of variation in our play. Sisa, you often talked about how our defensive pattern is almost cost us games. But on Saturday, we saw clearly how the pattern was actually costing us. I mean, Wales were exposing us on the outside. And what do you think of the defense?
So that's where a fantastic coach comes in. So just forgetting his name now, the Welsh coach.
Gatlin.
Yeah, Warren Gatlin has watched the Springboks throughout the season. He had an opportunity
100%.
to watch 3 of his games of the Springbok games leading up to his one, and he hatched up a plan. We didn't do anything to counter that during the game. We didn't do anything to counter that before the game, in my opinion. So for me, that's a bit worrying that we can't see the situation on the field and change our tactics, whether it's the players seeing it or the coaching staff seeing it. Because those first 2 tries, maybe the second try by Williams from Wales was exactly that. Appiah came off his wing, they popped it over the top, easy try in the corner. So for me, a lot of teams have had that opportunity. Some of them have converted it, but this time it came off. Bit us in the bum.
And I think the concerning thing, because even the week before, Scotland really exposed us on white. So as much as Ninaba and Rassie got a plan, which I think a lot of people don't really agree with now, you're kind of going into a World Cup year and ask yourself that, okay, do we still stick to this defensive system? Because we've done it the whole year. And I mean, if as a coach now, you probably say you want to back it. But then the concern is that these test nations now know that, okay, well, if you're going to beat the Boks, go beat them on the outside.
Fair.
Because they are going to shoot up. And I mean, many oaks can tell you now, as in, okay, well, I've got so many options in terms of trying to break that particular defense. So it's a concern for us going forward. I mean, I don't know what Ninaba and Rassie will do about it. But yeah, really still a big concern, because it's almost a very amateurish way of defending, because not often do you actually see a team get beaten on the outside so often, but also with so much space to still play.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Pilar. You speak of variation on attack that Nick spoke about. I also believe in variation in defense, because again, we've been struggling with getting this defense right. We see a team is getting on top of us, but we're still pounding away at this nail, but not hitting it in. So for me, it's a big worry, and the 2019 season is going to be quite interesting.
And ironically, again, this defense worked best against the All Blacks than any other team. So we scored tries against the All Blacks, and this defense worked against the All Blacks. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, follow us on Twitter @grit_sports. #Beyond the Final Whistle. Join in on the conversation.